Have you ever met someone and felt an instant connection? As if two separate streams suddenly became one river? We usually call it chemistry, luck, charisma. But what if connection is far less mysterious than we think? What if the feeling of being understood can actually be built through a few simple behaviors that signal safety, attention, and genuine interest? In this episode of Mind Over Matter, we're going beneath the surface of conversation to uncover the four-step architecture of rapport, and how you can use it to turn an ordinary interaction into a meaningful human connection. Building rapport is actually a structured, highly predictable communication skill. By breaking down the mechanics of how humans connect, we can use a simple four-step framework to take a cold, neutral interaction and turn it to a genuine trust. Before we look at the steps, there is a mandatory prerequisite. You cannot fake this. The framework only works if you approach the other person with genuine curiosity and absolute sincerity. Once you combine that authentic intent with this specific conversational architecture, you can consciously engineer a deep, lasting connection in just a matter of minutes. Here is how you do it. Step 1 happens before you even speak. You have to establish physical safety. That means maintaining an open posture, arms uncrossed, body facing them directly to signal that you are receptive. Hold engaging eye contact. Using the gaze triangle. Focus on their left eye, the bridge of their nose, then their right eye. If looking into someone's eyes makes you nervous, focus entirely on the bridge of the nose. It looks exactly like direct eye contact. As they begin to talk, introduce a subtle physical nod. It's a silent validation tool, wordlessly telling them I hear you, and I am following along. Mastering these nonverbal cues. Open posture, precise eye contact, and timely nodding bypasses a person's conscious defenses. You are physically signaling them to lower their guard. Step 2 is the verbal hook. As soon as the conversation starts, find an excuse to use their name. People are wired to pay sharp attention to their own name. It immediately heightens their interest in whatever you say next. Then deliver a comparative compliment. Instead of generic praise like "you are so smart," elevate their specific skill by comparing it to your own weakness. Say something like, "Your presentation was incredibly clear." I always struggle to explain data that simply generic flattery often backfires because it feels unearned and triggers suspicion. A comparative compliment requires careful observation, proving you are actually paying attention. We know how powerful this targeted praise can be. Take Enrico Caruso, one of history's greatest opera singers. His mother consistently highlighted his specific improvements when others doubted him. This targeted praise built the supreme confidence he needed to excel. When you intentionally shift the spotlight away from yourself and highlight their specific earned competence, you create an immediate magnetic pull. They feel seen. Step 3 is active listening. But we need to avoid the most common trap of listening advice, parroting. Simply repeating a person's words back to them. For example, "So you're saying you had a hard day at work?" doesn't show empathy. It usually causes frustration and stalls the dialogue. True active listening means looking past the sentence structure. As this flowchart shows, you have to filter out the literal words. Your goal is to identify and validate the underlying emotion driving those words. Once you spot that emotion, ask a feeling-based question. If they mention a setback, ask, "Did that make you feel overwhelmed?" You are inviting them to safely. Elaborate on their internal state. When they open up, you will feel a strong urge to share a similar story of your own. Resist it. Injecting your personal anecdote hijacks their emotional moment. Prioritizing their emotional state creates a rare space where the other person is fully heard, removing the typical friction found in casual conversation. Step 4 is navigating disagreements. The fastest way to destroy all the rapport you have built is giving in to the urge to win an argument. Telling someone directly that they are wrong or saying "I will prove it to you" strikes directly at their self-esteem. They instantly go on the defensive and trust shatters. To handle conflict without inciting it, we rely on a method developed thousands of years ago by the philosopher Socrates. The Socratic method finds agreement on base principles before addressing differences. Asking consecutive questions, guaranteeing an affirmative answer. You ask quality product, yes. Fair price, yes. By the third, yes. You establish a shared baseline, allowing you to safely pivot to the point of contention. Securing these micro-agreements ensures they don't see you as an adversary to defeat, but as a collaborative partner to work with to end the interaction smoothly. Summarize the positive experience. Say something direct like "It was really great to talk with you," or "I'm glad we got to meet." Look at the shift in the dynamic. You moved from a cold start to a state of mutual agreement using specific validation and nonverbal cues to keep the conversation collaborative rather than transactional. Right now, put this to the test. Your assignment is to apply this 4-step framework to just a single new conversation today. When you apply genuine human interest alongside this specific conversational structure, relationships grow quickly. They rapidly and organically flourish. This conversational architecture creates a predictable path to cooperation, making it possible to find common ground in situations where most people only find conflict. Connection isn't something you're simply born with. It's something you can learn, practice, and become better at. And this is what Mind Over Matter is really about, looking at the small, meaningful things in everyday life that quietly shape the way we think, feel, and live. Maybe it's learning how to have a difficult conversation. Maybe it's understanding why we overthink. Maybe it's realizing that finding time to refresh yourself isn't a luxury. It's part of taking care of your mind. If you'd like me to explore more of these meaningful, everyday questions in future episodes, let me know in the comments. Tell me what's happening in your life that you'd like to understand better. Because sometimes understanding something differently is the first step toward living it differently. If you found this video helpful, then like the video, subscribe to Mind Over Matter, and share it with someone who deserves a little more fine-tune in relation in their life. Until next time, take care of your mind, because it shapes your world.